Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Biz Stories. You know the drill. Every week, fascinating people, insightful conversations. I'm your host, Dr. LL, and in the house today we've got Jessica Volker. She is the business development lead for Responsive Answering Service. And if you're thinking, how does that fit into entrepreneurship and small business stories? Well, the whole thing is, what's the image you're sending out there to your brand, right? How are people calling in? What kind of customer support are they getting? It's getting more and more important that you get that right. So we're really glad to have Jessica in the house today to give us some insights. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
I am good, but I'm not the one calling from Boca Raton, Florida, where
Yeah.
all the pythons are running loose. Talk to us about what's going on down there.
Yeah, apparently somebody decided that it was a good idea to release a pet python into the Everglades, and now we have annual hunting season for the pythons. So that's actually, if it hasn't started, it just ended. So, yep, it's a competition to see who gets the most pythons out there.
Actually, I was reading about that the python's an invasive species. Just a little sidebar here and tangent before we dig into the small biz stories, that the pythons have consumed 90% of the small animals. And we're going to get into technology with your business here, Responsive Answering Service. So the segue is the python hunters are so desperate to get these buggers out of the swamps that they've actually enlisted heavy duty AI based technology of rabbit stuffies who are being used, robots, basically robot rabbits,
Mhm.
bunnies, are being used to lure the pythons out of their nests so that they can snag them. Right? Talk about the application of technology.
Wow. I actually did not know that. I hadn't seen that on the news yet, but that is very interesting.
Yeah, it's called. They spent like an ungodly sum of money on
I'm
these,
sure.
AI robot rabbits. It's just kind of funny. But before we get into that, I always like to give the folks a visual who are dialing in, listening through traditional podcast channels like Spotify and iHeartRadio and whatnot. Give us a visual. Talk to us either about yourself, what you look like, the room that you're in, so people can go like, okay, that's who's talking. So who are you, Jessica? Where are you?
Yeah. So I'm Jessica Volker. I am the business development director here at Responsive Answering Service. Since the pandemic, we all shifted to remote from home, or work from home, I should say. So I am currently in my home office talking to you from sunny Boca Raton. It's about 106 degrees, feels like out there. Um, and yeah, background is Mexican American, so brown hair, brown eyes, typical Latina.
There we go. Got the visual going. Now I'm going to ask you what your superpower is, not what your business does, but what are you, Jessica, like really awesome at?
I am awesome at anything that I put my mind to. So I'm very determined. I'd say determination is definitely my superpower.
Ooh, I love that, says the ADHD squirrel. Who understands what lack of focus can do, but if you have determination, you'll figure it out and knock it out. All right, so fantastic. So let's dig into the show. Give us a little bit context about answering service in general as a field. We've heard about customer service. We all saw how everything went offshore. That was good, not good, cost savings, lots of complaints when things went
Hmm.
offshore into India and Pakistan. They've since kind of rerouted to Mexico and to the Philippines. So better, but still not great. Talk to us about what you're seeing because you're in the industry. Give us some context. What's trending, what's happening, where the needs are.
Yeah, so I'd say a lot of the big companies are still routing their calls. I have AT&T as a carrier provider, and I called for customer service the other day, and my call definitely went to India or Pakistan, and the frustration level is there. Um, More so because it's so scripted, right? I think that's the main complaint that I would have is not so much the accent, it's this over scriptedness. Like they have to say this so many times, like like they start every question or every response with, okay, I see that. And it's like, that's not how we talk. Let's keep it conversational. Let's sound like a human being that's answering the phone and genuinely trying to resolve this situation or this matter, right? So I think more and more people are moving away from sending their calls offshore, more so because of that aspect, because as much as and I can speak to this because being fluently bilingual, if you do not, you can know the language, like when you're reading it, when you're trying to do something specific, but there might not be an understanding of the words that you're saying behind them, right? Like just the way that you're phrasing the things. It's there, it may not be there if you're just learning this language for this specific role. And if you're a plumber, if you're calling your plumber because your toilet's overflowing and this and that, they may not get that concept, and put it into perspective how frustrating that is. So I'd say that's probably the number one reason that I see people leaving or offshoring their calls. As far as what I'm seeing trending in an answering service, it's just using us for more than just your typical answer calls, take a message, that's it. Typically an answering service in essence was created for that, right? More so for the medical providers that needed someone to answer their calls, take the information, just name, number, who's the patient, what's going on with them, and page it to my pager. For those of you that remember pagers. um, so I'd say that role is evolving with time and with more technology. That role is definitely evolving. People want us to be a receptionist, a virtual assistant, like I need you to not only answer my calls, but maybe schedule some appointments, try to see if I'm available to answer that call. Can you put this information directly into my CRM or EHR, depending on what industry they're in? So I'd say that is the major shift that the industry is having.
So a couple of things I want to break down. So I agree. Those of us that are accustomed to dealing with people from, the five corners of the globe, right? Accents aren't such a big deal. In fact, I like to make it a game. It's like, ooh, where are you from? That's a mixture of accents. Have you lived in places, blah, 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 right? It's kind of fun. But I do see the issue with having that level of scripting because
Mhm.
it gets to be off-putting. Like you said, okay,
Yes.
said that 7 times, got it. You don't have to keep repeating that. This is not fun for me. Let's segue that into the implication now of AI bots. I know Salesforce.com, for example, is really leading the effort in that whole autonomous digital workforce, truly pioneering it, where people are being replaced with AI bots through their agent force. Talk to us about what you're seeing with the impact and the utilization of AI on the answering industry.
Our clients, the majority of our clients, are reaching out to us because they want human touch. They want an actual human being answering their calls. So we're not seeing too much of an impact as far as like AI being a direct competitor to an answering service at the moment. Um, I don't think it's there quite yet. What we are seeing an impact with AI or how we could possibly take advantage of AI is more so for those little tasks that the operator might have to do wrapping up the call, AI might be able to take over that. Like, okay, this is a urgent call. It needs to go to XYZ person via text, or maybe this one gets it via email, etc. So maybe we'll get to a point where we'll be implementing AI to do those sort of tasks, those miscellaneous tasks. But I'd say the majority of our customers, if not all of them, they're coming to us because they want a live person. They don't want an automated, they don't want AI answering their calls.
Oh, cheers to that. Because I'm one of those people when I'm on the calls where I'm like, zero, zero,
Yep.
operator, patient, person, human, and I'm hitting it, 10,000 times. As a technology supporter, though, I'm a STEMinist. That's how I, label myself. I do see the value of AI at the start and at the end, like you said, with
Yes.
those basic level tasks. Don't make me enter my phone number 18 different times. I'm transferred here. Like, okay, do you know who I am yet or not? Have you found the information on me? Great, perfect AI tool. Then let me talk to a human and find. Use AI, send the summary of whatever it is that we discussed, or
Yeah.
outsource those different tasks. Right now, there's this help ticket created or whatever else. Great, but I want to talk to a human. So I'm glad to
Yes.
hear that I am not the only one, that lots of clients are saying, yes, humans, please.
Yes. Yes, for sure. It's we're not at a point where AI can take over that sentiment that we have as humans.
But I also think it's a business imperative now. What do you think? That you have to have some level of AI enablement, AI automation in everything that we do. What do you think, Jess?
I think so as well. I believe that it's not only a cost savings for businesses to level and use the technology for something like you mentioned, finding the client based off of the phone number or based off of where they're calling from and already having that data basically pulled up for the operator to then just like maybe verify that this is the correct person, that nothing's changed, and then move along with the tasks. Like I think that it's just to give you an idea, answering service is primarily billed based off of operator time. So the less time that you have an actual human being on your account, the less you're paying. So if we're able to use AI to kind of help with those minuscule things that don't necessarily need a human, it's just data entry, or maybe it's just like finding the correct information, following the proper steps after the call, then I can totally see clients taking advantage of it and saving money on it. And us as well as operations, it's a cost savings.
Oh, yeah. And beyond the cost savings, I think it streamlines the user experience. I mean, these days, you've got to differentiate somehow. And
Yes.
everybody, I think, is dissolving into sameness, right? We've all got this, it's the same look. We all use Canva for our social media posts. So everything kind of has that sort of same style, unless you really punch it up and make it unique. We're using the same generative AI tools to create the social media posts and things. So they all look the same, right? With
Yeah.
a double, double dash, right, that's in there. And we're like, oh, okay, that's a definite tell. Yeah, you've used AI. Oh, you've got
Yeah.
those cute emojis. So we need to differentiate. And the customer experience is going to speak volumes. Did I feel it was personalized? Did I feel the brand understood me and connected with me? Did you take the time? Did you, the brand owner, put in that little bit extra to make me feel special, that I'm not just a number that you're processed on by a bot? So I
Right.
think it's great.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. So, on the side of entrepreneurship and just really trying to get it done out there, very, very noisy world, very competitive. You're also a new mother, and that
Yes.
creates, I think, so congratulations on that first.
Thank
let's
you.
let's let's go there, woman to woman. But it's also, I can imagine, creating all kinds of havoc with how do you balance everything, because now you have the demands of a child. You said you're working from home, you've got
Hmm.
that, and it's not like you can punt everything off either to a nanny if it's available, or she or he is available to you as a service, or even to somebody else. You've just sometimes the baby just needs mama. So how are
Yeah.
you balancing all of this newness?
It was definitely an adjustment, but the saying that it takes a village, it really does take a village. I've been blessed to where I do have help. I have my neighbor across the street. She's the best thing that's probably happened with us having a baby here, but she comes over whenever I have meetings. She comes over when I need to walk the dogs because it's too hot to walk a baby with when you walk a dog right now. It's a million degrees in South Florida. So it definitely takes a village, but as far as like when it's time for, she wants mom and mom's the only thing that's going to fix it. We've also been blessed with a really good baby too. That helps. But, you know, responsive answering service, their management team, their core, like, I mean, the director of operations, who is the person that I report to, she's been probably the biggest help. If I have to step away for a second, she's aware, block out my calendar for those 15 minutes, and she's fine with it, So it's working for the right people definitely makes a difference in that and balancing working from home and having a baby.
I think that the world needs more of that, compassionate
Yes.
employers.
Yes.
And in turn, I believe, and I want to see if this resonates with you as well, that I believe if the employer gives something beyond the paycheck, that they'll get more from their
Oh, for sure.
employees.
For sure. I 1000% agree with that because just to give you an example, we're working on this project right now where we're really trying to pinpoint what industries are the ones that really take advantage of an answering service, right? And this report for a technological glitch was not properly displaying the information. It was saying something had no value when it, in fact, was filled out properly. And because they're so flexible with me, I sat there last night once the baby was down and I went line by line to make sure that it was correct. Um, I'm sitting there till 9 o'clock at night from 7 to 9 when I clock out at 5:30. So you give more when you feel that you are appreciated and understood and that you're not just a number, you're more than an employee.
Oh, indeed. And cheers to that. I mean, I've seen that on my end. So for the last couple of years, I've been doing research for my book, which has been up and down with the publisher trying to figure out a timeline on that to get that out. But it's
Mhm.
called How to Manage People Who Don't Give a. And the key there is give your employees most of what they want so you get some of what you want. And that's absolutely critical. So if you want to your employees and they want flexibility, for example,
Yeah.
you're a new mom, give you that. And then you know, hey, you're going to get the 7 to 9 PMs and this and that to keep up with your job. You're just going to have to be operating on a different schedule. So
Yeah,
what? You're getting the work done, right?
right.
It makes so much sense.
It does. And I think that that was probably one of the best things that the pandemic gave us was that it allowed us to see, it allowed us to gain the humanity back that maybe the corporate world lost a little bit of.
And do you think that that humanity is still available at a larger client, or do you think it's restricted to that smaller business, more on that mom pop where you can develop a better relationship with the people you work for?
I think it definitely depends on the company. I think it definitely depends. You know, we have a few companies here that are based in South Florida that I've heard. I have friends that personally work for them and they're the big boys in the industries and they are great with their employees. They have benefits that are amazing. So I think it just depends on the core values that the owners have or that the shareholders have.
When we talk about bringing on staff, because again, customer service and where you are and as an answering service, it really is all about that customer interaction. Talk to us about the gaps that you're seeing in the talent that's available, that's coming on. What skills do you think that they should have? I think we'll talk about maybe particularly Gen Z and entry level talent that they don't have. And this isn't to bash Gen Z. We don't do that. We don't bash anybody, but it's talking about talent gaps and what business owners need to think about when they're bringing these folks on so that they can be more prepared to receive, for example, a Gen Z or someone who's re-entered the talent pool after having some extended absence, be it through motherhood, whatever else it is, whatever other reasons. Talk to us about the gaps we're seeing.
I'd say the biggest gap that I've noticed personally is more so the people skills, just like being polite, saying good morning when you cross each other in the hall. Like you say good morning, and they just automatically go to the cell phone, like just like a weird smile and keep going. I'd say the people skills are probably what we're lacking, or common sense isn't very common sometimes. So that's a little bit something that I've noticed as well. But I do say like the technology awareness that the new generation has is great. It's insightful. Um, Maybe the focus is another thing that I've noticed isn't necessarily there all the time. I think we have so many distractions with technology and technology helping us do so many different tasks that maybe the focus when you have to actually do the task yourself isn't always there. So I'd say maybe that.
Oh, I have lots to say about that, if I may. So, one, when I started Steeris, my business, it was all about soft skills to help Generation Next develop those people
Hmm.
skills because we spend so much time behind the screen, we forget how to interact in
Yes.
person. And I tried it, but basically failed. Everybody's like, oh my God, yes, Gen Z, they're disasters. They need soft skills. But employers weren't willing to pay for the training. Problem number one. Parents were insulted that you were telling them that their children, who were superstars, of course, lacked the people skills that they needed. And the parents were pointing at the teachers who were saying that the teachers have failed their children by not providing these skills. And the teachers were throwing their arms up and saying, oh my God, if the parents would stop giving their 2 year olds cell phones, maybe we'd have a chance at this. So it was just kind of went nowhere. Then on the focus side of things, again, is the ADHD squirrel, right? Where it's really easy to get distracted by things.
Hmm.
ADHD folks also have the ability to be hyper focused. And knowing
Yes.
that 50% of entrepreneurs self identify as having ADHD but haven't been diagnosed, for me, the biggest thing, I make everybody start the day with a Pomodoro, which is a time management tool, Mr. Pomodoro, actually Signore Pomodoro from Italy created this method. It's basically Mr. Tomato, that you spend 20 to 25 minutes in deep focus, no distractions, no cell phones, no ping, ping, ping on your Slack or Teams or any of that, just complete silence, and you knock out the toughest thing of the day. Just get that concentration in. My goodness, if you get that done, you're already more productive than half the US workforce, who's only putting in an average of 2 hours of work a day.
Oh, wow.
So I'm all for that. So just, FYI, if you want to get your staff in that focus, get everybody, do a Pomodoro. You do your 20, 25 minutes, and then you get a 5 to 10 minute break. Get some coffee, restroom, whatever you need to do. And then ideally you start another Pomodoro, but often the day begins and then, all hell breaks
Yeah.
loose.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's actually a great way to kind of get the staff to like just focus and figure out what tasks need to be done at the beginning of the day, and then at the end of the day, maybe recap and say, okay, I finished this, and that. Tomorrow, this is what I have to do. It's awesome.
Bingo, bingo. That's what I train everybody that comes into my network asking for
Yeah.
advice. What do I do? I've got productivity problems. I've got this. I've got that. So we'll park that. Let's come back to responsive answering service. So, is there anything that you want to share about what's coming next? Like what you're going to see, what we should be looking out for, what makes responsive answering service kind of stand out?
Yeah, so like I mentioned in the beginning of the call, what we're seeing now is we're seeing a lot of clients wanting us to do more. And with that, we're listening, we take the feedback seriously, and come 2026, we will be launching a amplified platform that will allow us to monitor social media, monitor your emails and respond to them. So we'll be able to offer like social media management. We'll be able to offer tasks beyond just taking messages. We'll be able to integrate completely with EHRs, EMRs, which are those electronic health records that doctors work out of. We'll be able to schedule seamlessly with, we already do appointment scheduling, but we'll be able to schedule seamlessly with a lot more platforms than we're able to do so now. So all of that is coming. We'll be able to answer text messages, which a lot of people, especially our younger generations, they don't call businesses anymore. They want to see if you're available via text, via chat. So being able to offer those features, I think, is going to open the door for, entrepreneurs, new business owners, seasoned business owners to kind of be able to relax a little bit and let us handle all those tedious tasks.
I think that that's exactly like spot on. This is what customers want, and this is what vendors need. We need the support of
Yes.
these things, these comprehensive solutions. So, where can people find you, Jess, and find responsive answering service?
Yeah, so you guys can find us by going to responsiveanswering.com. You can request a call there directly with me. You can also find me on LinkedIn under Jessica Volker, and I'm happy to assist with anything.
Excellent. Last question, and this is our signature question of the show. More than 250 guests have been asked this. So, here we go. If we got to peek into your closet and there was some pair of shoes, boots, sneakers, something that represented your personality, who you, Jessica Volker, is, describe that footwear to us and why it represents who you are.
That's hard because I am a shoe lover. So there's lots to choose from. I'm stuck between, I have a pair of like Mary Jane platform shoes that are white with bold red roses on them and a little bit of stripes. So that kind of represents me in the classicness from the Mary Jane. Very classic personality, a classy person, I'd like to say. And then the flowers obviously represent a little bit of that thorny side I might have. The stripes are a little crazy, so maybe a little of the wild side. I think that would probably be it. Yeah, I'll choose that pair. I was gonna go with a red pair stiletto, but we'll go with that one.
There you go. So, with that, folks, we have it. Jessica Volker, responsive answering service. Thank you so much for being part of our
Thank
show
you.
today. We really look forward to hearing what's going to be coming in 2026 and how the expansive services are just making a difference for vendors and customers alike. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you. This was fun.
And stay away from those pythons.
Yes.